Every year around the NFL draft, we focus on certain people, not just the teams, not just the prospects, but people in the NFL and how they're going to have to make a decision. Last year, I think you could argue that Kyle Shanahan was the most interesting person heading into that draft, having to decide between Trey Lance and Mac Jones. And when it all said and done, they went with Trey Lance, and we're still talking about that today. So who are the most interesting people? We're calling it Fabulous Five. We're going to go 5 to 1. We're going to go 5 to 3 now. Then we're going to finish with 2 and 1 later on in the show. Let's start with number 5. I'm going with an NFL owner, and that owner is Panthers owner David Tepper. David Tepper bought the Panthers a few years back for about $3 billion, and in that time, his Panthers have not seen any success of playoff wins or postseason runs or anything of the sort. Yet they have not drafted a quarterback yet either. They had the Cam Newton era, then they had this strange transition period, then it was Sam Darnold. And now we're in kind of this quarterback purgatory. David Tepper wants to win. David Tepper has a 6th overall pick in Carolina. And David Tepper has a 2nd-year GM and a 3rd-year head coach. And I would love to know, be a fly on the wall in those rooms and what he's telling them. Today, as we speak on Wednesday, Kenny Pickett is in Carolina meeting with the Panthers. He is having his pro top 30 visit, and I'm very curious to see if this Pittsburgh connection, Tepper, of course, a former minority owner of the Steelers, but also a University of Pittsburgh graduate, is going to influence this decision and say, hey, this is my guy. Or if he's hands off and says, take the best player available. Remember, last year, they took J.C. Horn with Justin Fields and Mac Jones still on the board. They went corner over quarterback. We still don't have a quarterback necessarily in Carolina. David Tepper, very interesting figure in this draft. Number 4. How about we stay in the NFC South? I'm going to go with Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. Okay. Not a household name necessarily, but Mickey Loomis is my choice for number 4. The Saints made a very interesting trade last week. They traded their 1st-round pick for next year to get a pick in the late teens from the Eagles. They now have the 16th pick. They now have the 19th pick. Are they just sitting pretty, or are the Saints going to be major movers and shakers in this draft? Look, they traded all of this, including a 1st-round pick for next year. It's very odd that they would trade this and this, a 2nd-round pick, to just get a 16th pick. Very interesting decision from the Saints. What is Mickey Loomis up to? What is it? Is it to trade up to get, I don't know, a quarterback? Or is it to sit pretty and get a wide receiver and another player? Or is there some player in this draft that the Saints are so into that Mickey Loomis is like, I want to have all the draft capital in this draft to go up and get? Interesting. Number 3 might be the most fascinating prospect in this draft. I'm going with former Oregon pass rusher Kayvon Thibodeaux. Kind of talked about it to start the show. The film doesn't lie. He's fantastic. He got hurt with an ankle injury this year, came back from the ankle injury, decided to play when a lot of players would have said, I think I've got the tape. Number 1 high school recruit in the nation 3 years ago. But he talks. He talks, and it's not for everybody. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Let's go through some of the quotes that Kayvon Thibodeaux has had. On game knowledge, there's nothing a coach could tell me that I don't already know.
Oh, no. Is that for real? Is that
interesting thing? Peter, on NFL comparison, I'm like Jadeveon 2.0, right? Well,
that's not a great thing.
That's not great.
Is that a good thing, Kayvon? This one, on choosing Oregon over Alabama. Do I want to be a guy who's known to be a national champion winner? Or do I want to be a guy who's known for being part of one of the greatest organizations in the world? There's a guarantee that if you play football at Oregon, you can work in the corporate Nike world. Nice. This is stuff that not every coach wants to hear. And then there was this at the Pro Day. Mike Yam was there from our network. They asked Kayvon Thibodeaux, should you be the 1st overall pick? Take a listen.
The most ridiculous thing I've heard is that I'm not the best player in this draft, honestly. And that's, other than that, I don't really listen to everything else. But that, to me, is outrageous just, you know, with the film, with the numbers, and what I can do as far as my ability. You know, I have confidence in what I can do.
Yeah. Great player. Awesome kid. Everyone seems to like him. He talks. That's not for everybody. Throw it to the table. Guys, Kayvon Thibodeaux, your reaction to that stuff?
Man, first of all, that first quote you said, there's nothing that a coach can tell me I don't already know. The first major thing you need to know being a young player in this league, be coachable. Be coachable. That wasn't a great quote. The people leading that young man need to get in his ear a little bit. Just be quiet right now.
Doesn't need to be coached. He's a perfect player. What are you talking about? Let's go. Number 1 overall. I like the shirt he had on in the interview, too.
Very cool shirt.